Hey guys, welcome in. Give us a second for other people to get in the room. If this is your first time meeting me, I'm Coach NT, the Resilience Nurse Whisperer. I'm a nurse going on 17 years now. Yes, for 17 years I've been a nurse. I'm a coach, a speaker, and an author of 3 published works that are actually helping the people. The most recent one would be Clarity Over Chaos. My newest book, you can see the photo of it behind me. It helps reorganize and help us to overcome burnout and identify the problems that we are facing today. This is not a webinar. This is not a sermon. It's not a sales pitch, so don't worry about that. Today is a real conversation about a woman from 1841 and about you in 2026 and how the line between those two things is shorter than you think. Pull up a seat and let's get into it, okay? So, some of y'all saw the post, and the poster was influenced by my oldest son, who is now 19. And some of y'all might have been like, what is she doing with a dragon? What is she talking about, how to train your dragon? Well, that was like my 19-year-old's favorite movie back in the day. And when I learned about the woman we're going to talk about today, Dorothea Dix, they called her the Dragon Dix. That was her real nickname. I couldn't help myself but use that, y'all. You can look it up. She was a nurse reformer in the 1800s. She ran the Union Army nurses during the Civil War. And she ran them like a drill sergeant. She was rigid, she was demanding, she was abrasive. So they called her Dragon Dix. For a long time, that nickname was used to make her look bad. Y'all know we be nicknaming people left and right. Yes, we do. To make her seem too hard, that's what their point was, and that she was doing too much. But you got to think about the times that she was doing in the population and the purpose. So we're going to flip it today, though, because the dragons in the nursing system right now, the broken system, the impossible ratios, the policies written by people who haven't touched a patient in over 20, 30 years, and some of them have never touched a patient, period. That irritates me. Those dragons are real, and the question is not rather to slay them. The question is who's going to teach us how to ride them tonight. So we're going to focus on how to train your dragon, and we're going to be inspired by the Dix. So we're going to call this the Dix edition. Drop a dragon emoji in the comments if you've been wrestling with a system that you're supposed to be disrupting. Okay, let me see who's in the room, you guys. I love feedback. I read every single comment, and sometimes I reply back but I do read them. Now, let me tell you who she actually was, because most articles will give you the polished version. You know, we don't do that here. We're going to give you the real deal. First thing, she was not a trained nurse. No, she wasn't. Not one day of nursing school. She spent 24 years of her career as a school teacher. She didn't pivot into reform work until she was 39. And she wasn't appointed to lead union nurses until she was 59. Hello, somebody talking about you too old. I really want that to land with you that are watching this today, because some of us feel like we're too old, we're too far in, or it's too late to start something different. Dix is proof that you're not too old and it's not too late. Dix had her own mental health story. She grew up in an abusive home. Her father was an alcoholic and, of course, violent, like many were. Her mother had untreated mental illness of her own. Dix left her home at 12 years of age. When somebody asked her about her childhood as an adult, she said, I never knew a childhood. I know no matter who you are, you either know this personally or you know somebody else who does. Historians believe that she battled depression her entire life. You think? The woman who would go on to demand dignity for the mentally ill was what? One of them. Her advocacy was not charity, it was recognition. That matters. Not recognition in the sense of what a lot of us do it today, but because she recognized it. Because most of the nurses I coach have been through their own version of what they now being called to, or what they are now being called to disrupt. Now, let's connect the dots. This is where her story turns. In March of 1841, a clergyman asked her to teach a Sunday school class for women in jail in the East Cambridge, Massachusetts. She walks in and she sees mentally ill women chained to the walls, locked up next to violent criminals in cells with no heat, no sanitation, no distinction between sickness and what they called at that time sin. Most people in 1841 would have just walked away, been like, no, move on. She didn't. She decided that one visit wasn't enough, and then she did something that every nurse on this live, I want you to hear. Over the next 2 years, she visited 35 towns in 1 week on unpaid roads, horse-drawn carriages, documenting everything. 35 towns, y'all, in 1 week. That's what disruption looks like when a woman with a vision decides the documentation is going to be undeniable. In 1843, she walked into Massachusetts legislature with the documentation in hand, and she read it out loud, town by town, cell by cell, name by name. She didn't soften it, so stop doing that. She didn't generalize it. Please stop it. She was specific. Somebody be specific. Vague advocacy gets on my nerves because it never has and never will work. That's the lesson that's still sitting on the table for nurses in 2026. Now let me go and get to the dragon part. The Civil War breaks out. Dix is appointed superintendent of the Army nurses for the Union. Remember I said she never did a day in nursing school? And this is where she earned that nickname. She set strict rules. She picked her own nurses aged 35 to 50. Plain dress, no jewelry, no makeup. She clashed with military doctors. Yeah, that's been going on. She feuded. She was she was by most accounts hard to work with. Will you hear that too still, huh? And by her own admission, her Civil War leadership was considered a failure. She lost authority in 1863. She resigned in 1865. She felt she had not done it well. Now I want you to hear this part real careful because somebody on this live needs it. Imperfection did not cancel her impact. She still helped build more than 30 mental health institutions. She still walked into rooms that women weren't supposed to be in. She still went back to her real lane after the war and kept building. So if you've been waiting to step into your next phase because you're afraid of being too rigid, too imperfect, too messy on the first try, it will never be perfect on the first try. So just do it afraid. Do it dirty. You don't have to do it perfectly, but you do have to do it, okay? Now let me bring this on home. Some of you may know, but if you're new, I built the framework that I call SOS. There's 3 phases of nursing. We have support, organization, and systems. Stay with me. I'll keep it tight. Support phase is your bedside, hands-on, direct patient care. You are the care. This is where most of us begin. And like I said before, some of us stay our whole lives. That's sacred work, and I applaud you because we need you. Then we have the organization phase, where the work shifts from your hands to your brain. You find yourself being called to positions like charge nurse, educator, manager, coordinator, things like that. You stop trying to do every single task yourself and you start making sure the right task gets done by the right people in the right order. That's a whole different muscle, a different kind of tired, right? And some people don't appreciate my opinion on this, but I'm not going to say this in this video. And then we're going to move on to the system phase, in the one where you have zoomed out to look at the bigger picture. You stop asking, how do I take care of this patient? And start asking, why do I keep seeing the same patient with the same problem walk through the same door? Let's pause for a minute. Can you imagine how Miss Dix felt when she walked into that institution and she seen those women with mentally ill women chained to the wall? How would you have responded to that? Some of us would have been called to the support phase. And we want to go in there, we want to fix it, we want to work hard, we want to teach the people that are there to watch over them. We're going to engulf ourselves into that one in particular instance. And then we're thinking that we can nurse our way out of this just atrocity that these people have created because we're just saddened and called to action by the conditions. I want you to think about the times that was, and to understand also still today, the practices might not be like that. But if you go inside of some of the jails and they're trying to bring back, as I speak today, more open up mental health asylums again, that we closed down because what? Because of the way people were being treated and because we know more about mental health. Now, during the time that you're most likely watching this video, we are approaching something that's very, very passionate to me. Y'all, if you don't know, you'll learn. I'm very passionate about mental health. And I think that passion, like Dix, comes from the fact that I've seen it firsthand. I grew up with helping family members that struggle with mental illness like schizophrenia, and help them to remember to take their medicine, help them to calm down when things got out of order, help them to feel like a person and that they were in control. And then, my career just I ended up being a mental health nurse and being very good at it. But just think, if she would have stopped in the support phase, what's going to change if that one nurse goes in there and she sees these horrible conditions? And I'm bringing this up because some of you are there. You go to work every day and you see the same thing over and over and over again, and you try to out nurse all of that chaos that's going on. And then I'm going to step on your toes a little bit with you being the hero inside of that chaos. I talk about this in my book. You get kind of a hero complex for being the one that everybody comes to fix that issue. Now, you don't do this you're not a bad person for doing this. It makes you feel like you're doing something good because you are. You are. Don't get me wrong. But what you are doing is sacrificing yourself and putting a limit on the disruption and the possibilities that you could actually do. If you go to work every single day and do that, and like we learned with Ms. Ward, the same patients are going to keep coming to the same conditions that we are exposed to right now. There's only so much we can do. And that hero complex of people appreciating you inside of that unit or in that clinic, on that floor, whatever it is, that is kind of making you feel like you've done something for the day and makes it okay. And in some situations, that's okay. You can only do what you can do. But I'm talking to the ones that know it's time for you to upgrade from the support phase into the organizational phase. Yeah, it's time for you to start charging. It's time for you to start being coordinators. It's time for you to accept those positions as directors of nursing. Yeah, all of that, because you can do it. You can do it with your eyes closed. Then you can what? You can actually have influence, real influence on the changes inside of where you work. But we're not going to stop there, because remember, she went to 35 towns in a week. Y'all, I can't imagine going to 35 towns in a month or 35 times in a year. I'm an introvert, but she was a woman on a mission, and I thank God for her today, because we still have a long ways to go when it comes to mental health. But think about how conditions were back then, and what if she would not have done that? She documented it. Yes. So if you are actively working on something, you're in that organization phase, please document what you're doing, because that's going to be important when we get to the next phase. When she started traveling to the different cities, she's working on doing what? Collecting her data, because she's moving into the systems phase. She's going and she's presenting this to the people that are in charge of the laws and the treatment of said folks. Y'all, aren't we doing that right now? Aren't we, whether you're in the support, organization, or systems phase, aren't we getting ready to go to legislator and give them the business on what they need to do about this care in America? I say America because that's where I'm at. But they're going to Congress and they're going to present our concerns with these solutions. But if you don't document it, then you can't share those things with the people that actually can influence the change. Some of y'all in the systems phase, and you're even being called hired to be the ones to actually go. But could you imagine that, especially in those times, a woman walking into there telling them about all the stuff that she's seen if she has no documentation? That's your proof. And now we have videos and phones on everything. You can talk into your phone. And the documentation I'm talking about is not the documentation that you leak to the media. It's not the documentation that you put on social media. We have got to a point to where y'all share it on social media and then that's it. That's awareness. And when it's something that we've tried to go through the proper channels and we put it out there for awareness because nobody's listening and something has to change. Yes, that has a place. And I appreciate it because some of this stuff we would never know about inside of nursing and outside unless somebody did it. But we need to keep it in a context when you want to see it disrupting and something change. And share that information with the people that can actually go to someone and appeal to them to change these laws. Also, how about you do it? But you're going to be walking in there with more than just your mouthpiece. You're going to be walking in there with your documentation. I've stopped and paused to talk about that because there is so much stuff going on behind the scenes and lay people don't even understand or appreciate. And I don't like the way that I see things going. And I especially don't like the fact that we are fighting amongst ourselves. So in addition to that, everything that we see, the public doesn't need to know. Why? Because it's going to affect their care. How is it going to affect their care? I already see it every single day on the social media side. I see individuals that have no idea what they're talking about, second guessing doctors because of some TikTok video that they've seen, some Instagram reel that they've seen, where they didn't even get the whole picture. That all has a place, but y'all are professionals and I'm going to expect more out of you. Because if you truly believe in the purpose that you say you are, that you believe in, you're going to document it and you're going to go a little bit higher. So I don't talk to my boss. I don't talk to my boss's boss. I don't talk to the owner. Okay, let's address the elephant in the room. There is not one nurse that is happy about the treatment that is going on inside of these organizations, whether it's hospitals, whether it's geriatric facilities, regardless, that are owned by big corporations. I've seen it myself. But in order for us to change this, then we have to document it. And I can say that because I was able to change something at a clinic that I worked in that was a federal clinic. Y'all know we had to put in some work for that and had a whole bunch of documentation, a whole bunch of working off the clock, I's dotted, T's crossed, and we didn't even use social media for it. But we got it done. But I keep up with stuff like that. And what I've noticed since I left is that things have fallen back into place. The work did not continue. Most of us that was there is gone, but the work did not continue. And so when I see people talk about this from other institutions, I share with them the things that we did. I share with them what they need to go look at in like their policies and procedures. I share with them they need to understand their scope. That is like your first no. A lot of people don't understand their scopes, and you only understand it when it comes to the limited side. You don't understand what it positions you to do. And then to go beyond the scope, you don't understand your job description. Now, that's not their fault. It's yours. But do you think Miss Dix had a job description in black and white for her to read? No. And why do you think she got the job in the first place? Because nobody else wanted or could do it. Yes, hello somebody. I know I'm talking to you. So let's get back on schedule here. Sorry for my tangent. But you're thinking about policies, programs, and conditions, systems where Dix lived. She wasn't fixing patients one by one, nor can we. She was changing laws. She was building institutions. She was walking into legislative rooms, where women weren't allowed. She didn't work inside of the system. She restructured it. And here is what I want my nurses that have a bachelor's, doctor's, master's, some of y'all even associates. I just want my nurses to know, because them credentials carry weight, that this is your assignment. You have letters behind your name. You have years of schooling. You have you spend plenty of money, and you have that life experience. And some of y'all are still somewhere where you don't want to be. You're feeling restless, tired, and wondering why something feels off, because it's supposed to, honey. The feeling has a name, and it's not burnout like everybody wants it to be. It's your vision outgrowing your current position. It is the way, it has been this way past time. In the past, I'm sorry, it's been this way for a long time. People running hospitals, people running facilities. Your name, your research, your voice needs to be on those policies. That is the only way we're going to fix this. What do you plan to do with the licensure and the information, with all that goodness that you possess? It was not meant to be collected and sat on a shelf. You have that vision, you have that knowledge to go and do that said assignment that you're running from. Tell me what phase you are in. Is it systems, organizations, or support? Drop it in the comments. I want to hear from you. And if you have any questions for me, drop them in the comments. If you have anything else you want to share, drop it in the comments. Now, I want to tell you about something that I built, especially if you are in Southeast Texas. And I'm going to keep this honest. I've been a nurse for 17 years, remember? And that time I walked the profession, asked things of people that no profession ever should. I have watched friends break. I have watched patients suffer for reasons that had nothing to do with their illness. I have lived through my own season. Lived through season that should have ended for me. And I built my work that way, to where I could leave them seasons alone and walk into the things that are here for me. But I know that I was still carrying my grief. And I had to embrace that pleasantly uncomfortable moment. And that is where the clarity over chaos is rudely, that is what it's centered on. It's understanding the unpleasantness that you welcome and the one that you reject, and identifying and organizing the chaos that we are in the midst of today. So if you don't learn anything else from me today, understand and identify with what system you are in. And I want you to identify what unpleasantry you are engaging and inviting every single day. Is it necessary or is it not? But I built a room here in Beaumont, Texas for the Nurse Resilience and Mental Wellness Experience on May 29th now. It's free to attend. You have the opportunity to top up if you want to, because nurses deserve a room designed for them, not rented from leftovers from a corporate budget, y'all. Not that. We are going to get together. We're going to enjoy each other's company. We're going to support each other. We're going to appreciate each other. But most importantly, what we're going to do? We're going to heal. Yeah. And we're going to come up with some solutions. They're going to learn more about the SOS framework in a way that's pleasant. And we're going to enjoy some good food and have some fun and shop with some vendors, because I don't know about you, but I love to shop too. But some of you are not in this area, and unfortunately, you won't be able to attend. But I encourage you to go over to ihelpnurses.com and sign up anyway, because I'm going to be rolling out a special sequence leading up to the day of the event for those attendees. And if you're not in this area and you're interested in something that I created to help us to create a plan based on what area of phase of nursing you're in, you're just going to go to my website and sign up for an SOS session. It's that simple. But I cannot encourage you more to get into the room for our resilience and mental wellness experience here in Beaumont, Texas. It's going to be on May the 29th. The doors will open at 6:30 p.m., y'all. But we are promptly starting at 7 p.m. And I'm not going to be alone. I have picked the best of the best to come in and help us come up with a feasible solution for the trauma, the just burnout, over inundated healthcare system that we are in today. Now, there is no pressure for you to book a session. There is no pressure for you to attend. This is an open invitation. And I thank you for your time, attendance, and support. I am Coach MT, and I want you to know, respectively, I see you. Y'all have a good